Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday Talks webinar. I'm Lisa Commendatore. I'm the Director of Student Orientation, Parent and Family Programs, and it is our pleasure to be hosting today's webinar on Spring Orientation and Parent and Family Programs. In addition to myself presenting, you'll also be hearing from Susan Brown, who is our Associate Director of Parent and Family Programs. Now, please note that we will not be answering questions during the presentation, but at the end. At that time, you'll be invited to type questions into the Q&A pod, which is on the right side of your screen. So with having said that, let's get started. So today's agenda, as you can see, is the orientation timeline and programming. We'll be going over that. We'll talk a bit about Welcome Week. Susan will be presenting on the Parent and Family Services. We'll review some important dates of 2018 so you can begin planning, and also ways that you can stay in contact with us. And of course, we'll do the Q&A portion as well. So beginning, we have our freshman orientation. And what I'd like to point out to everyone here is, in addition to a large group of students that we had participate in our NUN Abroad program, we also had additional students that didn't go abroad that are a part of the NUN program. And so just to be very clear that this freshman orientation that is mandatory on the 4th and 5th of January is for all second semester freshmen. But I do want to just spend a couple of minutes on the three parts of orientation that those who went abroad participated in. And sometimes there's a question, well, I've done a pre-departure orientation, I've done an on-site orientation, why do I have to do a third part? And just to clarify, the pre-departure orientation that took place during the month of June and July and was hosted by the NUN office really was acclimating the students to going abroad. It also covered safety abroad, as well as covering NUN policy while these students were abroad. The on-site orientation acclimated the students to the university or college that they were studying at. And this specific orientation, the student orientation, is acclimating them now to our campus. Even though they've probably visited, they've attended a welcome day or a campus tour, this will really transition them in successfully. And that's what we're going to be reviewing today. So the timeline of what the students and families will be experiencing right after the new year. January 3rd is move-in. So if you could just note that the housing office in Residential Life will be reaching out to all students in mid-December, and included in that information that is sent to the students, it will include their housing assignment, their roommate information, as well as additional move-in information of where to unload the belongings, as well as where you'll park afterwards and so forth. So that will all be coming from the housing offices in mid-December. And they'll provide your student with the roommate information, and we always explain to the students that they should reach out to the to the roommate and just touch base and ask what is already in the room, so they don't have doubles of everything. Now on January 4th we have our parent and family orientation, and January 4th and 5th is the mandatory student orientation. Now next, after the student moves in, we'll have our evening options. And this is, again, just to let you know what's going on so you can begin planning, prior to coming. On that Wednesday evening after move-in, there will be several options that you can choose from. One being, it can just be free time together. And so I know that some of the students are coming in, they're coming from abroad, and some are coming in mid-December, and they really haven't had a lot of time with their families. And so students and families will take the opportunity to spend as much time together as they want and need. On that move-in day, it could be that families want to go shopping with their students and get their students situated. And so whatever you'd like to do, it's free time. If, in fact, there are students that don't have families accompanying them, we like to have some activities for them, and so we're going to do trivia that night, and we'll also offer a movie night for them. And it could be that students do have their families with them, but it's a time for them to continue, bonding with their new classmates and seeing friends that they studied abroad with. And then we also offer a parent and family reception. And so if, in fact, the student is taking part in team trivia, at the very same time, I believe it's at 7 to 8:30 p.m., we will have a parent and family reception. It's informal. We'll have refreshments and music, and it's really a time for families to meet other families and, to begin networking with each other. And, very often during these family receptions, you'll connect with one another and stay in touch with them. As a part of orientation, we're going to provide the geographic, on your name tag, geographic ribbons. And so it could possibly be that if you're from the West Coast, you'll have a yellow ribbon on your name tag that will say West Coast. And it's a visual identity for that parent to know, oh, okay, here's another family from the West Coast. And, and again, you can make a connection, and it could very well be that you make travel arrangements back and forth with each other's families at some point throughout their Northeastern career. And so those are some of the evening options on that Wednesday. Please note that you'll get more specific information sent to you in your confirmation and obviously in the schedules of what time and where to go. Now, beyond the Wednesday, January 3rd, we now are looking at Thursday, January 4th, and that's when we're offering our parent and family orientation. It's a one-day optional program. It begins early in the morning. As you can see, it's check-in at 7 o'clock. Program will run in between 7:30 and conclude by 4 p.m., if not a little bit earlier. Check-in that morning at 7 is going to be in the Curry Student Center on that first floor. Once you park in the parking garage, you will see signs directing you over to the first floor. For those of you who have attended Welcome Days, most likely your Welcome Day from the admissions office was hosted in the Curry Student Center, and again, check-in is on the first floor. Parking, we will be sending you in a confirmation packet, which will be mailed to you in mid-December, a parking pass. Most of you, well, all of you that are attending will most likely be either commuting locally or you'll be staying in an area hotel. And so in your confirmation packet, we'll provide you public transportation options, as well as for those who prefer to drive to campus, and it will provide you with that parking pass. On Thursday, January 4th, again, we're talking about parent and family orientation only. Throughout that 7:30 to 4 o'clock, you can see all of the different areas that will be presenting. Residential life and housing is a popular one, safety on campus, university health and counseling, which will cover all of the services that are offered, not only for physical wellness, but also mental wellness as well. Career development, employer engagement, which begins as early as the student's freshman year on campus. Student financial services, Husky card and dining options of, what your students, what is available to them, the different meal plan options, and then Orientation Service Express. And basically, that is a time that we have approximately, I would say, 20 to 25 different resources from campus that will table in one area. So it makes it very convenient for you to be able to go to the Curry Student Center and ask, multiple questions to different departments without having to walk all over campus to different office areas. But also in saying that, what's nice about having a Thursday program is that all of the offices and colleges are open. And so specifically for the offices, it's very easy for you to, schedule a individual appointment if you'd like to do so, specifically with Student Financial Services, as well as the Disability Resource Center, where you may want a more private or confidential conversation to take place behind a closed door, opposed to an open setting. Now we'll go into our student orientation and just kind of give you a broad overview of what they'll be experiencing throughout the time. On Thursday and Friday, again, the 4th and 5th, it's mandatory. Again, our goal of spring orientation is for them to transition in successfully. As I said, there are students who have been studying abroad, but we would like to see the students branch out, out from their comfort zone and meet other classmates. Obviously, if we have two students that were studying together in Australia, but one was in nursing and the other was in the business school, we want them to meet new classmates. For students who did not go abroad, again, it's their time to meet all of their different classmates and begin making relationships and friendships, because that is what is going to really contribute to them successfully transferring in. Now that, as well as engagement, student engagement. And so a good part of orientation is informing the students of what is available on campus and how to get engaged, especially in January, after there is another cohort of students who have been on campus for the past several months. And so, that's a good portion of our orientation. There's also the time of getting to know more about their academics, meeting with academic advisors and confirming their class schedules for January. We also will go through campus services and resources, in the sense of, if I'm sick, where do I go? If I need help academically, where do I go? All of that will contribute to their success here at Northeastern. And then just on a side note, for students who are non-U.S. citizens, incorporated into the student orientation will be an additional session that is hosted by the Global Services Office. And again, it's not anything that, it's not a second orientation or a different program. It's the same 2-day program. It's just an additional session that we invite them to attend. It's mandatory. They'll go over immigration clearance and so forth, and also ways of acclimating from another country to this country. And this is just an introduction. The Office of Global Services will have continued services and activities and programming that will last throughout the semester for this group of students. And a common question is also, we do have several students that are what we consider third culture students who are U.S. citizens, but see themselves as being international students because their whole life they've lived abroad. And so those students as well are invited to participate in anything that the Office of Global Services is offering. We really want domestic and international students to benefit off of each other, and we do a lot to incorporate and inter-exchange programming. So on that Thursday, January 4th, and so at this point you have completed your parent and family orientation. The students have completed their student orientation. They'll both end around 4 o'clock on that Thursday afternoon. So that evening, students and families, you are more than welcome to have a complimentary dinner in the dining hall. But again, this is kind of your free time before leaving on Friday. I know most families are planning to leave on Friday. And, just to reiterate as what that statement says, really Thursday evening will be the final free time that you have with your student, because once orientation resumes on Friday, your students will be in session from very early in the morning, from 8 o'clock in the morning, and we have social activities going on until 11 o'clock that evening. And, we have a lot of program, which I'll talk about shortly, on that weekend as well. And so Thursday evening is it. Now, what I failed to say, on that Wednesday, we will offer families dining in the dining hall on that Wednesday as well. So dining in the dining hall is open for all students and families on that Wednesday as well as Thursday. Now, on that Thursday evening, we do have some student programming. We have a Boston excursion. We're going to take the students into Faneuil Hall and walk around. There's a lot of different eateries. It's in our historic section. We also have shopping in that area. We'll cross over into the North End, which is Little Italy, and we always make a stop at the renowned Mike's Pastries, which is known for the best pastries in the North End and in Boston. And it's actually a bakery that's open 24/7. And so we'll stop in there, get everybody their favorite flavored cannoli, and bring them on back to campus. So those are Thursday evening. Now, as we just went through some of the student orientation themes of the academics and campus resources, student transition tips. It's important for this group of students, just like any new student on campus, to know their resources and services, to get involved through student engagement, to make friends, and to explore and to know their new city. So how does all of this happen? It happens through Welcome Week. And so Welcome Week will begin once they're on campus. It takes place from January 5th through the 12th, and it continues throughout the month, but with the bulk of the programming January 5th through 12th. We have academic, social, athletic, transitional programming scheduled for new students. And so some of the sampling of programs, and this is just on their initial weekend that they're here, we will have trips to Target. We will run buses that will take the students from campus to a shopping center, which is close by, that actually has Target, it has Old Navy, Bed Bath & Beyond, and so anything that the student may have forgotten, or, once they came and they moved in and they say, oh, I think I need, this or that, they can just hop on a bus and we'll take them back and forth from Target. On that Friday as well, we also have one of our signature programs, which is called A Taste of Boston, where we have cuisines from all over. We have Chinatown and Little Italy and some of the fan favorites from Fenway Park, Fenway Franks and Beans, and some from the waterfront. And following that, the students will come to our Winter Blast, which is completely a blast. We do Build a Husky, which is very similar to Build a Bear, but we have Build a Husky. We have painting sessions of the Boston skyline. We have fun games, a family feud where students can win prizes. And these are just a few of the options. It takes place within the whole entire Curry Student Center. A lot of food, a lot of giveaways, and again, it's just another opportunity for students to meet each other and engage with each other and have fun. We know that every student is different. We have students that are very extroverted, and we have others that are introverted and are shy or may need a little bit more of a push to branch out and make friends. And so we really are very thoughtful and intentional with our planning of Welcome Week. And so there will be some activities that extroverts may migrate to, and for those that are a little bit more shy or introverted, there are more passive activities for them, and so that they feel comfortable participating. And I know that by being a part of orientation and Welcome Week and parent and family programs for probably 15 years now, that if in fact your student participates in what we have planned, they will have a successful transition. And so as parents and family members, I can only ask that you encourage them, especially if your student reaches out to you and they say, I'm not making friends, or this is really difficult for me, again, to encourage them to take advantage of the resources that we're offering, but also the programming that we're offering, because truly, if they just make one friend, that will change the life and the success of their transition here. Also on that weekend, Friday through Sunday, we have a hypnotist and comedian coming, which is always really fun. Also, talking about student engagement and student activities, we have the Winter Involvement Fair, and so that will actually take place during the week, during that first week. I believe it's on January 9th. But again, it's in the Welcome Week information that we'll be sending the students, but we'll have over 400 student clubs and organizations represented. And so, obviously there is a club and an activity for everyone. And for whatever reason, if there is an interest that your student has and they don't see a club and organization, they will learn through orientation how to start their own club and organization. We also, during that weekend, we have men's ice hockey and men's basketball for those who are fan enthusiasts of the Huskies. And then we also have a lot of different Boston excursions. We, made note of the New England Aquarium, the Skywalk Observatory, ice skating in Boston Common, but we'll also be adding others like Fenway Park tours. I believe that we're also doing some of the escape room tasks as well for some team building, and so we have a lot of different activities for them to get to know their new city. Now, how are they, what type of programming are we doing for them to get to know their campus, especially during that weekend prior to classes starting? We will run on both Saturday and Sunday campus resource tours. And so I know that probably the majority of the students attending orientation, they've gone on campus tours, but this is going to be a little bit different. We will be pointing out different offices to the students so they know that if I lose my Husky ID, where is it that I go? If I've had something, stolen, where do I go? If I'm sick and I need to see a doctor, where do I go? And so on. ResNet, if I am having computer problems, where can I take my computer to get it fixed? And so we will do walk-around tours showing them where all of these offices are located on campus, which is extremely important. Find your way to class. We will ask students, bring your class schedule with you, and we will have our orientation leaders actually walk them around campus and show them the different classroom. The science squad, this is where you'll be, this is where MUGAR is, the Robinson Hall. So when it comes to Monday morning and they're going to class, they have an idea of where it is that they're going. And then for many of you, you probably are aware that we have a great tunnel system in place, which really plays to the benefit in the wintertime when it's frigid cold or it's snowing. And so, even though many of you may have seen a part of the tunnel when you visited, for instance, down by the bookstore in the food court area, there are beyond several buildings that are connected via tunnel. And so we'll do a walkthrough of all of that so they can familiarize themselves with the tunnel system as well as the different maps that we have posted so they're able to help themselves whenever they find themselves lost. And another way for students to meet and feel comfortable is we have Meet to Eat. And so again, if your student wants to meet new friends or they don't know anyone that is going through the transition in January, they may not have been abroad, but rather studied elsewhere for a semester, and now they're coming to Northeastern in January. It's a real casual thing. Meet on the steps of Val Hall, and our orientation leaders will take that group of students and, walk over to the dining hall and just eat together. Again, it's just a really easy way for people to meet up with each other and begin making friendships. And so moving from this, next we're going to take a few minutes to actually talk about the communication and who you will be hearing from and what will be sent to you, and then we're going to turn it over to Susan Brown. What's next in communications? Again, quickly, just a reminder that Housing Services will be reaching out in mid-December with all of their information, housing, roommate information, move-in information. If you have specific questions now for them, or once you receive all of this information, you can email them at housing@northeastern.edu. From this specific office, we will be sending your student information on uploading a picture onto their portal for their Husky ID. That's going to be sent probably sometime next week. Specifically, again, from this office, we'll be sending to everyone that has a domestic home address. We'll be sending a packet of information, a letter, along with a parking pass, just detailing a lot of the information that we detailed today, but also a reminder to check in locations for orientation for you and for your student. For those who live internationally, we will email the exact information to you, and we will link to you the parking pass, just in case you're flying in and you rent a car and you stay at the hotel and you'd like to drive to campus. So everything will be consistent across the board of what we give to domestic and to the international population. And then what we'll do is, just to make certain that everybody received the information, around the time period of December 22nd, 23rd, we will email a final reminder confirmation to everyone, both the student email addresses as well as the parent and family email addresses. Again, just reminding you of everything, because we know that the holidays are very hectic. And most likely, when you check in or you move in on January 3rd, we'll also have a flyer at that check-in point reminding families of where they need to go on that Thursday and on that Friday. And so right now, I would like to send it over to Susan Brown, my colleague. Susan is our Associate Director of Parent Programs, Parent and Family Programs. Susan?
Thanks, Lisa. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Susan, and I'm here to talk to you about how you can partner with us during this time for your students' academic year and the various resources that we offer both to you and your students. Just by the number of people that are in this webinar, it shows me that you do want to be involved, and I'm glad to see that. My function here at the university is to serve as a university liaison to you, to develop and coordinate programs, and to advocate for your students' transition and your transition. I know many of you may not have a transition because your student has gone abroad, but we are here for you. Some of the programs that we develop throughout the year is, one, the Parent Orientation Program that Lisa just talked about. We do Parent and Family Weekend, and we do a lot of webinars and things like that I'm going to talk to you about in a moment. We also advocate for your students. So when your student comes in January, if you find that they're having any difficulty, whether it be academically or they're having trouble adjusting, we encourage you to call our office, and we will help resolve that issue with you, or I will put you in touch with the department that can do that. So please keep in mind that we are here for you with any questions or concerns that you might have throughout the year. I want to talk briefly about FERPA. FERPA stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and why we talk about this is it limits what we can tell you as parents. So I know as parents you're very involved in your students, you want to know all the information that you can, but if your student is over the age of 18 and your student has not signed off, it limits what I can tell you. So let's just say, for instance, if you called my office and said, could you tell me something about my student's academic record, I would not be able to tell you that if your student didn't give us approval. What happens is when your students come back to campus in January, they have to go through a process which is called I Am Here, and it verifies their enrollment. So by doing that, they also need to put emergency contact information in there. They have to put 2 people. So what happens is, I know many of you already have a parent portal, so I want to forward to our parent portal in a moment. There are ways that we stay connected to you, and one of the main vehicles is through our parent portal, which I'll discuss momentarily. But we also have a parent message board, a Parent Matters e-newsletter, a Facebook page, and this Tuesday Talks webinars, which is what you are a part of right now. So when I talk to you about FERPA, what happens is, if you have not already created a portal, this is how we communicate to you throughout the year. This is the way we send you important information. It's a way of viewing and paying your bills. It's a way of adding funds to your student's Husky card. And it's also a way of reviewing grades and transcripts. Please keep in mind that you will not see midterm grades on their portal. You will only see the final academic grades and their grade point average at their time at Northeastern. When I spoke momentarily about FERPA, this is when you go to create a portal. What happens is your student has to give you permission to be on that portal account. And by doing that, they're allowing me to talk to you. So if you did call our office, I could be giving you that information if they have approved you for the portal. If you haven't created a portal, This is what it actually looks like. It's northeastern.edu/parents is where you can create one, and it will walk you through the steps. What happens is it will ask you several questions about your student, their name, their birthday, their NUEID number, and then what happens is your student gets an email and they have to approve you for access to the account. So there's two things that they can do to approve you for the account. They can approve you for campus information, paying the bills, and grades so that you have access to everything. And the other choice is paying the bills and just campus information and not the grades. I always encourage parents to have a conversation with your student about what access and what you do expect them to, information they do expect to be provided to them. So that's where FERPA. I always tell parents, don't get alarmed. I've worked here many years, and there's very few parents who I've seen who have not been allowed access to their students' records. This is one of my favorite services that we provide. It's our parents' message board. It's very different than the portal. As I said, the portal is a way for you to add funds to your student's card, to view grades and things like this. The parent message board is on our parents' website, and the link is there of how you sign up. When you go to create an account, it just asks you to pick a username and a password, and it takes about 1 minute, and then you're into the parent message board. And what is really good about this message board is it allows you to ask a question about something on campus, whether it be a roommate issue or if your student was going abroad. A question might be, you know, my son's an engineering student, what is a typical salary that they can expect? And what will happen is a lot of other parents will answer your questions and tell you about their experiences. So just for instance, here's one. My son is considering doing co-op overseas in Ireland, Northern Ireland or England. Anyone have any experience with your students studying abroad or doing a co-op overseas in these countries? And then, like I said, what happens is a lot of times you can just go in and view the questions, or you can ask a question yourself. But what happens is typically about 10 parents will answer that question. So if you just want to kind of lurk and just see what kind of questions out there, there really are some informative topics. There's people ask, like, where's the closest dentist, different things going on in the residence halls, and like I said, salaries, going abroad. So please go and, if you get a chance, check it out and either ask a question or see what other parents are asking. This is our parent newsletter. It is called Parent Matters. You will be receiving this twice a year, once in April and then in the fall. So we do a fall edition and a spring edition. And what happens in the newsletter, it is sent electronically to you. We get that information, the email addresses, from parents who have a parent portal. So that's why it's important to have a parent portal, because this is where a lot of our information comes from. The parent newsletter keeps you gives you ideas of important information, you know, when payments are due. We highlight a student member who may have been at a successful co-op or studying abroad. And we do different areas on campus departments and show you different services that you can expect from the university. This is our Facebook page. We update this usually about once a week or sometimes twice a week. We have a lot of family members who are involved in it, and I hope that you will check us out and join us so that you can follow along with us too. One of the final programs that we do is these Tuesday Talk webinars, which you are part of, and thank you so much for being here today and taking part of it. We do monthly webinars, and on our parents' homepage, you can find some of our previous topics that we record. We record each of these sessions, so you can go back and listen to them at a later date. We do 1 or 2 monthly webinars in the month of January. When you come back, we'll have various topics. But just to give you an idea of what some of the topics that we do, we have doing one about study abroad. We do one about health and wellness, co-op. So like I said, if you want to go visit our website, you can view and listen to some of our past talks at your convenience. So we wanted to review with you some important dates. I'll turn it back over to Lisa, so that this is for the spring semester, some important dates that you might want to know about.
Yep, just real quickly, and again, these are just for your planning in moving ahead during this first semester. You have the Welcome Week. Spring classes will begin on that Monday. You can see that there are 3 holidays, such as Martin Luther King Day, Patriots Day, and President's Day, that your student will not have classes. Those are all Monday days. And so sometimes families and students like to coordinate a long weekend home. And then spring break will begin on Saturday, March 3rd through Sunday, March 11th. And again, you know, we have a lot of opportunities during spring break, actually. We do an alternative spring break where it's a week of community service. And so many of our students will do that. Some are within the United States, some are outside of the United States. But that takes place as well next spring. And then before you know it, we will have finals week. And finals, you can see, will begin and run through April 20th through the 27th. Many times Susan and I will get questions about, well, when can I make flight arrangements, or when can I pick my student up? And it's really difficult during this time because every faculty member and every class will have different exam dates, and so some faculty members may say, you know, I'm not going to give you an exam during the week of the 20th through 27th, but you have a paper due the week before. But typically the students won't know that until probably a few weeks out, you know, from when it is going to happen. And so just know that at the end of the 27th, that's their time that they'll need to move out. And Susan, if you can just talk a minute about typically after the last finals exam, what is the amount of time before they have?
So once they have their final exam schedule, in the Parent Matters newsletter, too, we will also include information about move-in and what they have to do in order to check out of their room. But typically, it's that Friday of finals that they have to be out of their room by 7 o'clock. If your student does have difficulty and can't make that deadline, they are always encouraged to call the housing office and speak with their residence hall director to see if they can get an extension. But most likely, they do have to be out on that Friday.
Yeah. And then lastly, the last slide before we get to questions and answers is just different ways that you can stay connected in addition to what Susan had just presented. We have a 1-800 number. Use it. Again, if in fact you have any questions, just give us a call and you will get a live voice. It's not an automated system. For emails, we have an orientation email address as well as a parent's. And so, you know, just like the website, you can see we have an orientation website and a parent website. Anything specifically, you know, any questions that you have regarding orientation that first week of January or the transition, absolutely you can send an email. You can go to our website. Our website will have everything from, excuse me, the schedules to the parking pass, the hotel list, travel information, our mobile app for orientation and welcome week. But once we get beyond that, say mid-January, the parent website is really the website that you are going to use for resource and information throughout your student's career here. And that's where everything is housed. You know, whether it's communications, the Tuesday talks, the parent handbook, everything. You know, events that we're hosting, any type of emergency information, it's all on the parent website. So that's truly the one that you're going to stay most connected with. And to be in contact with Susan specifically, you would email her at theparents@northeastern.edu. And the guidebook, I know that in some of our communications, we've linked you and your student to the mobile app. The mobile app, everything that is on the orientation website is on the mobile app website. And so schedules as far as orientation student and parent will be posted in mid-December. But again, everything is on there, the hotels, the parking pass, phone numbers, important dates, everything is on our mobile app, and it's really a useful resource even moving forward beyond orientation, because again, it will have, at the time we have Parent and Family Weekend, it will also house that schedule and all of the information on that. And then obviously the hotels and the campus resource phone numbers are things that you can utilize, you know, anytime. Boston Restaurants. It's really a great app. I would suggest, if you're an app person, to download it. So at this time, we'll begin taking questions from all of you. And so again, the Q&A pod is on the right side of your screen. So all you need to do is type in your question. Now, depending on the time and the number of questions, we may not be able to address all of them, but we will, you know, definitely provide you an email address, and we'll make certain that we respond to it via email if we don't get to it today. And so what happens if a student wants to attend summer school? Susan?
So if a student wants to attend summer school, which we strongly encourage, we have several different options that students can take advantage of. And actually, it just made me think that in January, late January, early February, we are doing a webinar on a program called NU Term, which is a summer program. So they could speak with their advisor to see the different options for them. So we do hope that they do take part in summer classes.
Yeah, and you as families will hear more about that at orientation, as well as the students. We have a question: is there a place to view past newsletters? Absolutely. Everything is on our website. Under communications, you'll see, and the Tuesday Talks, of course, every past recording is posted, as well as this one will be posted by the end of the week for your viewing, and we'll send it to you as well. So one of the questions is, you said initially that the Office of Global Services meeting is for non-U.S. citizens. My son is a U.S. citizen. Is this meeting for him? This specific meeting will not be, because it's regarding immigration clearance, but he is more than welcome to attend it if in fact he'd like to, you know, meet the staff of the Office of Global Services. I'm sure that they'll also talk about some future programming, and so he's more than welcome to attend. It will be listed in the program, and so you know, he'll see the time and the location for it. Is registration for the upcoming Tuesday Talks available on the website? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I should have added, there's a full schedule of some upcoming ones in the spring semester too that you might want to look at, so check the website out. And we update that as we keep adding sessions. So,
a question is, what are the move-in hours on move-in day? The prime time of moving in is in between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. And why I say prime time is because it's the daylight hours, and so you know, there's added assistance for you in the sense of helping you move in. But obviously, if you're flying in or you're coming in after hours, regardless of what time you arrive, there will always be someone available in the residence hall to check your student in. Is parking overnight? It is. And so, but you have to have your parking pass on your dashboard, and it is on a space availability basis. And so most likely, because the students are not in session yet, then they won't have, you know, they won't have an issue with how many cars, but it is on space availability. Here's a good question, Susan. If my daughter already granted me FERPA access, does she have to do it again now that she's in Boston in January?
No, she does not. Once you've already completed the process, you are all set. So that's a good thing.
Can you again explain how to access the recorded version of the presentation?
So if you go to our homepage on our website at northeastern.edu/parents, you will see an icon that says Tuesday Talks. So if you click Tuesday Talks, which is at the top of the page, it lists all of our previous recordings, and you just click it, and they're all about an hour length, so you can see some of the past topics.
Let's see here. Will fall NUN NU students start on January 8th? Yes, everybody starts together, and so students will begin moving, current students will be moving in over that weekend that your students are here. Initially, when they come in on Wednesday and Thursday, every resident, of course, will be housed with an RA and an RD, but it will be much more quiet for them until the current students are moving back in after the holiday. Yep, is parking overnight. That's another one with regards. Let's see. If they do take summer classes, Susan, can they stay in the residence hall rooms?
They can. They would have to make sure they deposit and speak with housing about it, but housing during the summertime is pretty open, so I think they would be fine.
Okay. So the next question is, if I understand, it's better if the student does not go home during spring break. No. If that is what you got from what I had stated, absolutely not. So just to clarify, that spring break is the students' time to do with it whatever they would like to do. Some students, of course, will be on campus, and so everything is open, correct, Susan? Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is open, residence halls, dining halls. Pretty much, students are always in session because of our co-op and so forth. We always have students on campus, so everything will be available to them. Some students will choose to do community service through our alternative spring break, and others will make us jealous and go on vacations. We have NU local hotel discounts. Maybe you can talk a little bit about hotels.
On our website, we do have a list of area hotels, and it tells you how many are like within the walking distance of Northeastern and 5 miles and that type of thing. The only discount that the hotels offer is the Colonnade might give you a discount if you mention Northeastern. Other than that, we do have preferred vendor hotels that are on our website. So. And keep in mind, different times of the year are more expensive than the other times, so you might be visiting in the summer and find it a little less expensive than if you came, during a holiday season or that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Will students be meeting their academic advisor during orientation? Very good question. They will be meeting, every college does their advising differently. So some will begin in a group setting, and then others will do one-on-one, depending on the size of the college and so forth. They will meet with their college on that Thursday as well as that Friday and walk away with their class schedule. As far as meeting with their academic advisor, that most likely will not happen until they begin their time here a little bit later on in the semester. But an advisor is always available for them. So, and also during Welcome Week, each of the colleges will be they'll be hosting a different...
They'll be hosting mandatory sessions that they can take part in. The students can. Some of them are mandatory, and some of them are just, very laid back and that type of thing.
If Susan, maybe you can answer this one. If a student does the Summer 1 session, can they remain in their residence hall, or do they have to switch rooms?
It really depends. I would say most likely they would not be able to stay in their room, so be prepared for that. they can request to stay in the room, but a lot of times some of the different residence halls close down for the summer because they're doing repairs and things like that. So most likely they would have to move.
Susan, is there a specific login for Parent Portal and for the Parent Message Board?
So the Parent Message Board has a different login than the Parent Portal. The Parent Portal, like I said, you have to create the account. And if you go on to My Northeastern, on Northeastern's homepage, it's at the very bottom of the screen, and that's how you would create a portal. The message board you would get to by going to our Northeastern parent site, which is on the slide that we're showing right now. And if you just, it's on the right-hand side, it will say message board, and it will say create an account. And like I said, it just, no, you don't need any approval, and you'll automatically be signed in within a minute.
Okay, and let's see if we can take one more question. Is there a curfew for them during Welcome Week?
No, all the residence halls, just so you know, are open 24 hours a day, so a student can come and go as they please. We do not have times where they have to check in once they're living here on campus, so keep in mind that they are free to go in and out as much as they please. They do have to sign in themselves and swipe their cards, and if they're signing in a guest into the residence halls too. So
yeah, every security precaution that's in place during the school year is in place the second your student lands on campus. And so at this time, we're going to have to end. We apologize. We had hundreds of you join us today, which was very exciting, but unfortunately we couldn't get to all of the questions. So if you have a burning question, there's a couple different things. You know, obviously we're going to be accessible to you all through orientation, and campus-wide staff, students, and faculty will be available for you. So you can either wait and have it answered. If you're not attending orientation or you need a question answered immediately, email parents@northeastern.edu, and we'll happily do it via email, or you can call our 1-800 number. You can see on the screen right now all of the different ways to be in contact. This webinar is now ending, so thank you so much for joining our talk today, and we appreciate your participation and the time that you gave us. Have a great day and have a great holiday season, safe and healthy one. Thank you.